because the crowd kind of skewed young. They would look at the Channel 5 mic flag like
what the hell is that?
What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
They just don't. They don't watch TV.
No,
they don't.
I know. The same thing with us. We don't get any listeners.
They don't watch TV.
No, we don't. I mean, the average person under the age of 40 does not. I shouldn't say there are people in their cars that listen.
Yeah.
Because they like the traffic. But I'm just guessing.
Or news, yeah.
Yeah, generally speaking. Oh, what's this? Oh, great. Thanks, man.
Yeah, they don't watch, but when they see themselves on TV, they lose their shit.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Oh
Yeah.
And we are recording.
That's so funny.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
watch out. Watch out.
Well, it's a true fact. They do lose it.
All right. So what we got today? Just you and
it's just the three of us.
Great.
We'll
Have a good
some
time
fun.
today.
We'll start off with.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go. Well, welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality, and Vern Glenn, Mr. Virginia.
That's right.
Oh, man, he must be celebrating, huh?
We are the champions, my friend.
No, I'm thinking of Queen. I saw that movie the other night, Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody.
Yeah, it's very good.
Very good film.
Oh,
But boy, Virginia, what a great story. What a great game.
Yeah.
Just a terrific game.
To come from losing to UMBC a year ago to national champions on a Monday night, and as an alum, boy, I
Doesn't
welled
get any
up.
better, huh? Doesn't get any better.
I did. We got to get back to Ever though. He's got.
That's okay.
There's still the show open.
That's right. Well, and who was Vern Glenn? He is from CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco. And no, your shirt doesn't smell. I know you've been wearing it for about a week, but
He's even got the hat on.
I know.
Like,
He's got everything.
the Cavaliers. Isn't that where Ralph Sampson went to school?
Yeah, he was a year ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yep.
My God. I remember he played with the Warriors.
Oh,
The Warriors.
yeah.
The Warriors got him in a trade. They sent Sleepy Floyd
Yeah.
and I believe Purvis Short and got him and another guy. It didn't work out so well. He was at the end of his career, but I always think of whenever I think of Virginia, I always think of Ralph Sampson.
Yeah,
he was at the game last night, wasn't he?
He was in Minneapolis. He was in the crowd.
Yeah.
Shared a nice moment with the rest of the team when they
Nice.
won the whole thing. And I am told by my sources close to me back in Virginia, 7 out of every 10 televisions were tuned to Monday night's national championship.
What's wrong with those
game.
3 people?
Back in Virginia, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5%. By the way, their fund is up to $48 million.
Wow.
They're raising about $1 million a month.
Can I have just $1 million of that?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Nobody will miss it, right?
Nobody will miss it.
Yeah.
Just a sip.
Just a
Yeah,
sip.
a bite.
I
Just a taste.
tried to do that with the bank. I said,
Yeah.
hey, you don't need my money. I don't have to pay my mortgage, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work too well. All right. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at PacificPrivateMoney.com. That's that dial. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
Where is your Virginia located? Charlottesville?
Yes.
And how big a city is that? That's a college town, right?
College town. It's about Charlottesville is about the size of.
Say Stockton, maybe?
No, it's smaller than that.
Really? Like Fresno, maybe?
Charlottesville's about the size.
Reading?
I'll tell you.
Eureka?
You're picking all these small.
All these small towns. That's
small
right.
towns.
That's my home. That's my original. Well, yeah, that's really my first job was in Eureka.
Yeah.
TV. I sometimes wonder why I got out of TV. I know why I got out, because I got lured out of Portland for a radio job in Seattle. That's how I got. Otherwise, I would have stayed in Portland forever. I could have had that job forever.
Charlottesville was about the size of Petaluma.
That's small?
Mm-hmm.
How big is the campus?
The whole thing.
How many kids?
It's enormous. Boy,
40, 50?
Yeah,
got to be 4,500 a undergrad, a class.
Wow. Is
What-
that
what-
in Charlottesville?
100,000?
What?
Wait, for how many?
4,500.
Is that where they had the big demonstration where all the
it is.
racists came in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a huge graduate program. The law school, the med school.
Wow.
I mean, it's an enormous.
What's the nearest
school.
big city? Is it Richmond or
Close? Richmond, hour away.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Capital.
God, I saw Black Klansman the other night. What a great film.
Yeah.
Scary.
Eva said she saw it. It was very
It's very disturbing.
disturbing. Yeah.
Spike Lee, yeah, he's a good director. But
That's
the
what
guy
you
who plays the
Based on
undercover
the true
cop,
story, right?
yeah, loosely based on
Yep.
the guy who plays the undercover cop was really good. Was really good. That who was really nasty was the one racist guy who was suspecting, and he was like, he had a girlfriend, you remember?
Right.
It's like, he was like a
do that very
snake.
well.
Ugh. I just wanted to see him get
Get
destroyed.
the shaft, right?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, we'll start off with still fun times here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Welcome to Sports Econ 101. Welcome back, right?
We haven't gone anywhere.
I know, but this is our
That's
second
what my boss
segment.
used to say to me. We ain't welcoming him back. We haven't gone anywhere. We just took
The
a quick
great
break.
Bob Agnew.
Yeah, the people who don't know who Bob Agnew was, he was my boss at KNBR, the All Sports Radio and station in San Francisco for 16 years. He used to walk down the halls, little guy about 5'6", he'd walk down the halls like this with his
Snapping his
fingers. Right, tight and right, McGowan. Keep those sports reports short. We gotta get in. We gotta get out. Come on.
TSL. Time spent listening.
Yeah, that's right.
Why does that remind me of Perry White from Superman?
Well,
Yeah, he was kind of like
he
that.
was kind of like that.
Not as big. He
Yeah.
didn't have a stogie in his mouth all the time.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a
He
flat
was, he
top.
was a great boss, though. Bob was the kind of guy that would drive you crazy, but he always had your back.
Yeah.
I found out later that the general manager wanted to fire me several times.
Why?
Just save money,
Oh, okay.
and because he wasn't enamored. He liked me, but he wasn't enamored with me. And Bob saved my ass every time. And I lasted 17 years there, so I got to give the man credit. That was my longest stint in radio in one place.
No.
No complaints. How long? You were at Cron, Channel 4 for how many years?
I was there 23 years.
23 years.
But one of those 23 years, I did Cron and the KNBR morning
Oh,
radio
that was
show.
neat. That was neat.
That was
Crazy.
brutal.
That was brutal. Yeah.
Well, that'll keep you busy.
Yeah.
I was falling asleep in my dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a rough
Yeah.
business, isn't it?
And it actually is. If you want to get into broadcasting, I don't know what to tell young people today because it's so much different than it was with all this internet stuff. And Vernon and I were talking about this. I don't think that many people listen to the radio or watch news on television anymore who are under the age of, say, 35. I really don't.
Yeah, they don't. A lot of it has to do with the expense of living,
Mm-hmm.
particularly where we are, where the show emanates from,
Right.
and just the whole how we get information. Those
Yeah.
habits have just completely changed. We
Yeah.
went live from the UVA watch party on Monday night
In San Francisco.
in San Francisco, and these kids, they looked at the mic flag, the Channel 5 mic flag, and were just like almost like,
What is that?
Yeah,
That's an
what is-
antique.
What is that? Yeah, it's like it's kind of how my kids reacted when they saw vinyl records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
What was that? A frisbee? Was it?
when I go to games now and I go get my interviews, I use my smartphone or my iPhone or whatever you want to call it and just stick it. And it's actually a lot less intrusive. The players feel a lot less intimidated by you putting the big mic, and I find the players are actually a lot easier to deal with. And the quality, the broadcast quality, I record it and then I email it to my account and I take it off there and cut it up and put it on our.
It is a lot easier.
It's a lot easier, yeah.
By the way, Bruce, you used it the other day in the A's locker room. We were all in there.
Oh, was I? I got in the way there. I know.
You got to hold it down
I
just a
know.
little bit more so I can frame up the shot.
Yeah, I know. I got one of your colleagues over at KGO, Mindy Bach, was getting on my case. She goes, "Get that thing out of the way, Bruce."
Don't have to be out of the way, but
Keep
just
it out of the way.
lower a little bit.
A little bit there.
You guys mentioned about
Yeah.
technology and all that, and somewhere there's an elderly lady who is reading a book on how to use the internet.
Right. Oh my
and,
gosh.
and there's a young man who is looking on the internet on how to read a book.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Man, I hate to say it. Oh boy, let's not get off on a tangent on this one because it's a sore spot with me. I love it, but I hate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you get some benefit. I mean,
there are benefits and I just think it's great in some respects, but it's also changed everything so dramatically.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad my career is winding down because I don't know what to tell young people today who want to get into broadcasting. It's such a different profession. I think there's so many avenues. There's so many ways you can go.
Yeah. Speaking of change, as a segue back to the show, What do we do now? College basketball is over.
Yeah, well,
We
the NBA.
we transition to the NBA and the NHL playoffs. I guess.
And Major League Baseball.
Yep.
Yeah, good times. And the NFL draft is coming up. Who are the Niners going to pick in the draft? Of course,
Ooh.
Pete, how many of our listeners really care about the Niners? But interesting. The Niners. This is a big year for them. They've got to make. They've averaged a record of 4-12 the last 3 years. They've got to do something.
Yeah, this has got to be it for the Kyle Shanahan, John. I mean, this you got to do something.
Got to do something. Well,
Garoppolo's back.
Yeah, Garoppolo's back. Yeah, but you got to be. You got to be north of 8-8.
They got to get Nick Bosa. They got to get Nick Bosa of Ohio State. That's what they need to do. And they got to stay healthy. I mean, the last couple of years they've been playing with spare parts and guys nobody's ever heard of. But there are a lot of teams like that in the NFL.
Well, it's funny you mentioned about like how many people care about the 49ers. It's like probably just about as many care about the Orioles because last night the smallest crowd, 6,500. That's kind of your town, right? 585 fans
at Camden Yards.
At Camden Yards,
wow.
and if you looked at the pictures, you'd be surprised if it was even half that.
Yeah.
And that's when they watched Chris Davis break the record for going hitless 0 for 40.
Wow,
stretching back to last
Chris
year.
Davis. I mean, once upon a time, Chris Davis, he was a feared power hitter.
No, we're not talking about the A's, Chris Davis. We're talking
about
this
is Chris with a C.
Chris with
a
Baltimore.
K.
Yeah, Baltimore's Chris Davis.
But I grew up an Orioles fan. I influenced by my dad who grew up in Baltimore, but back then, we're talking about bona fide stars, the pitching and Eddie Murray playing first and Cal Ripken. I mean, just through the years, and then just to see them mortgage their future and let their farm system just fall apart, and they are paying for it now.
Well, hold on. You talked about your heroes, Eddie Murray and all that. No. You're a little older than that. You remember Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, Booth
My
Powell,
first baseball glove was a Brooks Robinson third baseman glove.
I was in college when Brooks made those great plays against the Reds in the 70 World Series. He made 3 great plays, I remember. And I think he won the MVP of that series.
Yeah, the human vacuum cleaner.
Our friend Mike Shapiro works for the Baltimore Orioles.
I know.
Who used to work for the Pacifics. Yeah. Mike is I think he's a legal counsel for them. I think that's his job. I'm not sure. But he's back there. I tried to get him to come on the show, but right now he says that the Orioles are kind of in a transition. They don't want to have him on the air, but we'll try again down the road.
I wonder, what does he do? He's not negotiating contracts.
I'm not sure. He had a similar job with the Giants for a number of years. But Mike is a baseball nut, and he'd be good at any position. So, the Orioles are lucky to have him. But Mike
they might need him at third base.
Yeah, there you go. Mike is close to 70. I'm not sure. I think this is his last stop. I think after this, it's time to retire.
So did he move the whole family there?
No, Jane, his wife, stayed out here. The boys are in college, and I think that she's kind of commuting bi-coastal, and things are working out, hopefully, for Mike.
We may have to do that, too, because my daughter's probably going to go to George Washington in
wow.
D.C. They just came back and said the beautiful campus. Now, they happen to hit good weather. And that kind of
for graduate school or
graduate school. My little girl is graduating.
But she's flying into Dulles and Reagan Airport.
Yeah.
Shapiro's wife is flying into BWI.
Oh yeah. That's a different.
Baltimore Washington International.
Different.
Yeah. My wife said she loved DC. Loved the food. The people were great and all that.
So it's a nice area. It really. Well, Vernon.
It's nice. It's nice. Just full of energy, just great nightlife.
Great sports town.
If you go to the right spots in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
there's some places you don't want to walk around at night.
It's like San Francisco, too. Same sort of thing.
Yeah. No, nice place to visit. Great sports fans. Redskins fans. Bullets. Washington. They have been the Bullets for how long? It's been a long time.
Yeah,
long time.
Washington forever.
Ever since Wes Unseld.
Wes Unseld.
I used to love that guy.
Who saved Mike Reardon from getting beaten up by our good friend Al Attles when in the 1975 NBA Finals. Here's a quick little story.
Yeah.
Washington they were down 3-0, so they tried to get Rick Barry kicked out of the game. Mike Reardon attacked Rick Barry, literally. Knocked, and Rick Barry kind of backed off. What are you doing? And Al Attles knew exactly what he was doing. He was trying to bait Barry into a fight so they'd get him kicked out so the Bullets could get back in the game.
And at the time, Al was just a coach.
Al was the coach. He ran onto the floor to tackle Reardon, and Wes Unseld, 6'8", 260 pounds of him, grabs Al, and they're in a bear hug. And by the way, Al Attles, our good friend who's been with the Warriors organization since 1959, has been named to the Naismith Hall of Fame as a contributor which, and Al is not doing too well. His health is not very good. He's 83 years old, but just the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. Great coach, great player back in the 60s.
Just don't hurt one of his players.
Don't hurt one of his players. He was tough.
And let me drop some knowledge that the listeners might not know. Alvin Attles, the first Black/African American coach in sports, period.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, 75.
People always talk about,
Frank Robinson.
Yeah, talk about Frank Robinson. They talk about Bill Russell, player coaching, but I'm talking about
just
coach.
Just coach. Okay, guys. Quick trivia question. Number one is: what was the first sport in which women were invited to compete at the Olympics? And by the way, when? All right.
Oh wow.
Which Olympics? Okay.
Good one.
Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back.
I'm not going to be able to make it next week, unfortunately, because of my procedure.
Oh, that's right. Coming up.
We'll just do it from the hospital.
Come on. Joining us now, sedated.
Oh, yeah, they got a rod stuck up my pee. You know what I found out, too? After I had this procedure, I have to go back in there. She's got to check me twice and stick the goddamn thing up my urethra twice to check it. I'm going, fuck. I'm just hoping that this thing is not cancerous, because if it is, it's going to be a pain. I'm going to have to take more medications. Like, this is the price you pay for living a good life, I guess. You know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and it's not like you abused your body.
No, I never did drugs. I never did booze. I've been pretty clean living. Always ate well, exercised. I was out surfing yesterday.
They did that thing about Keith Richards versus Mick Jagger, because Mick Jagger's having some health issues, and it's how can that happen? I mean, he does all this healthy stuff.
Well, how about Jim Fixx? But Jim Fixx, we forget, Jim Fixx was an alcoholic before he became a runner. Or a heavy smoker, one of the two. It was something. He was excessively. That's why he became an excessive, runner.
Yeah, I think it was smoking.
Yeah, I think so. Jim Fixx. I think he dropped out of a heart attack, didn't he? He was only like 48 years old.
Pistol Pete, too.
Pistol Pete.
Isn't that how Bing Crosby do that? Walking off the 18th green of.
Oh, that's right.
I think his last words were, "It was a lot of fun, fellas." Boom.
Whoa. Well, that's the way to go, man. That's the way to go. I knew a guy who literally dropped dead as he was walking in his door, and he was 75 and had a great life, beautiful wife, kids were out of the house, all the money in the world. Hey, that's if you're gonna go, I'd rather
go. Didn't that happen to a baseball umpire?
Yeah.
At a game,
he dropped dead right there.
Bam.
Yeah.
And Major League player? Who was that? I vaguely
kind of a big guy. Wasn't Eric Gray?
Yeah, he was a huge man. There's video of it.
Wow. How long ago was this? I'm trying to
remember. He just did right down.
15 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah. Wow.
Okay, you guys ready?
All right, yes, sir.
There you go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn. Well, I said that pretty fast, didn't I?
You did. You should do the commercials on our station. We have a guy that I don't know how they do that. I know how to do it.
Okay.
It's like, why?
So we'll ask this trivia question a little slower.
Okay.
What was the first sport in which women were invited to compete at the Olympics, and which Olympics was it? That's kind of hard. I just thought I'd throw that out.
I'm going to guess something. What do you think? Track and field, Vern? Maybe like a sprint race or something.
Let me give you the year, 1900.
1900.
Yeah. So that would have been the second one, right? Because it wasn't 1896.
I think the first one in Greece. Yeah. I'm going to say something in
1900.
Maybe a 200 meter sprint. I don't know. What do you think, Brad? I'm going to guess.
Think a little bit more classy.
I'm gonna guess.
Or considered classy.
Badminton.
Tennis.
Tennis. I forgot tennis was an Olympic sport. It has been an Olympic sport over the years. I don't know if it is anymore. Is it an Olympic sport? That's a good question.
I can't remember. Okay, you guys.
I would love to go back in a Wayback Machine and with like the absolute best tennis gear, golf gear.
Oh,
Can you imagine going back with like the graphite shaft, golf gear, and just putting it in the hands of like
Bobby Jones.
Yeah, Bobby Jones. Yeah.
Bill Tilden, Bill Tilden, the tennis player.
Gene Sarazen. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right, you guys ready for a fun joke?
Sure.
Go.
All right, so there's this golfer, right? And he takes his wife golfing, and he hits this ball, and for some reason, I guess there was a barn close by, and he hits it in front of the barn. And the wife says, "Boy, I got this idea. Let me open up the front barn door and the rear barn door, and you can just hit right straight through it. Right,
Mhm.
you get right on the green.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense, right? So he hits the ball. It goes through the barn, but before exiting, it hits the top part of the door, bounces back, hits his wife, and kills her.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my,
Okay.
oh my
So-
Lord. Freak accident. Woo.
Yeah. So next year he's playing golf with his new wife, right? Guess what? Sure enough, hits it in front of the same barn, right? And the wife says, "I got this great idea. I'll open up the front door, open the back door. You go ahead and hit it." He goes, "No way." He goes, "Last time I shot a 6." That's one
Yes.
of those jokes.
Oh, that's.
Speaking of
I
golf,
got to remember that one.
speaking of golf,
That's a good one.
there's a good one. Joe Montana, the great 49er quarterback, is the honorary, I don't know, person who represents the U.S. Open at the down in Monterey this summer. So he's been touring and kind of hanging out with the big trophy.
Yeah.
And I guess he loves to play golf, but he says he doesn't understand why they would want him to play in a tournament, because he says the crowds just they hug the fairway,
yeah.
and he goes, "I'm not going to hit him." He says these guys hit the ball straight and narrow. Don't these people know that I don't hit the ball straight and narrow?
Yeah,
No,
they
they
don't
don't.
want to see him.
No,
They just take it for granted.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
take it
they-
for
So,
granted.
Joe Montana, great athlete. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
gonna
going
hit
to
it straight
stick this one.
Well, in fact, they want to get hit because
Well-
it's like, hey, I got hit by Joe Montana.
And he
Yeah.
did. He actually did shank one, and it hit a woman in the back the last time he played at the
That's good.
U.S.
Well,
Open.
so one time I'm playing at the old Las Colinas golf course.
Hmm.
For those here in Marin, they would know that. You're talking about 30, 40 years ago, right? So I'm on the way they had the putting green, the practice putting green was a little bit too close to the fairways. They weren't really thinking. And so I go ahead. I'm just practicing putting because I'm waiting for my tee time or something, right? And I kid you not, a ball gets shot right through my legs.
Whoa!
I get backwards. 'Cause
Wow.
I was facing this way and hit from backward. And I got like like this, and I hear this lady. 4? I go, yeah. What did you yell that like when you first hit it?
Right.
What does that mean, by the way? 4? What's the? I mean, I mean,
Or
be
you better
alert.
get out of the way.
Or you better get out of the way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's
I think it's an easy thing to screen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just to alarm instead of
Hey, get out of the way! I
look
just hit the
out,
ball.
heads up. But if you just scream, "Fuck," like that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
It kind of this one's a little bit more of a sad story. There was a guy who I played softball with pickup games. Not pickup. We were in a league. Really nice guy, and he was telling me that one time he was in Hawaii and he was running around a golf course, and it just just jogging, and someone yelled 4, and instead of him just like ducking, like you put your hands over your head, he kind of looked up, and the ball hit him in the eye,
Oh,
and he actually
no.
blinded him.
Whoa!
Permanently.
Wow!
I mean, who would have?
How freakish is
That
that?
is really
Oh my
freakish.
God!
Yeah. Anyway, let's go back
Well,
to
on a
happy
brighter
times.
note.
Okay, on a brighter note, the NCAA tournament. So
Yeah.
just sort of these sort of fun things that I was kind of noticing. And I was telling Vern this before we started. What was amazing to me was the fact that these young kids, we'll call them kids, are so much more poised than going way back. Like I'm thinking of Jim Valvano, the 1983 NC State,
Right.
Cinderella run, right? And they asked him when there was they committed a foul, like I think it was in the Elite 8 or maybe it was the Final 4, on some freshman kid for the other team. I don't remember which one. And they said, why did you foul him at that time? Because it seemed like kind of a weird time. He goes, the kid's a freshman. This is the big time. I knew he was going to miss those free throws.
Yeah.
But you look at
so they needed to get the ball back, so they just fouled that guy,
exactly
knowing that with a hunch that he would miss.
a hunch. Yeah,
They'd be able to rebound and then get back.
Yeah, and that's it. And it actually happened. And then I think about last night. We're recording this on the day after the NCAA tournament, championship tournament, and I'm thinking, you have Guy and all these. I mean, you look at the stats, and they
hit
both teams.
They had 12 of 12.
12 of
Virginia
12
did in the overtime, and Kyle Guy hits 3 with 0.6 seconds on the clock to win the semifinal game.
Yeah,
3 shots in a row,
What?
and they called it. I think they called a timeout in the middle of it, didn't
probably.
Yeah.
they? I think Auburn called a timeout.
So you look at
Jesus.
and I mean, even NBA players don't seem to have that same kind of poise. Vern, you were saying a lot of it's the coaching.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, a lot of it comes from the coach. That you've seen it in sports a lot of times, Bruce. I mean, the team take on the
persona
of the head coach, and just from the eye test, you look at Tony Bennett. Always seems, I don't want to say relaxed, but it just seems he doesn't seem like he's on the verge of just like losing it.
Yeah, he's very calm and poised, and that's one thing he was talking about last night was the way his team showed their. When they blew that 10-point lead with 9 minutes to go, and I think, man, and they kept their poise and got it together and outscored them 17-9 in the overtime. Texas Tech got outscored by Virginia.
But even the Auburn game, they were they got almost smoked.
Right.
They got lucky in that game, but something considering what happened to them last year, was it Maryland-Baltimore County?
Maryland-Baltimore County, and that's the team I covered when I worked in Baltimore.
Is that right?
Oh yeah,
good school.
Yeah, it's like a San Francisco State. It's commuter school.
But I mean, for basketball, quality-wise, would it be like up there with the University of San Francisco or St. Mary's, or no, not even that high?
A mid-major.
Okay.
Let's just call it that.
Were they they got lucky just to get in the tournament?
Yeah, and it's just one of those things like Texas State. They just got hot.
Yeah.
Just got hot. Got some confidence. Played with confidence. And they were able to ride it, at least through that Virginia game. I mean, they'll forever be known for pulling that off.
Okay, so going back to this. Okay, so last week I kept saying we were going to mention this, and I kept forgetting. Ex-NBA star guilty in advisor bribery scheme. And this has to do with Chuck Person. Remember him?
Oh yeah,
the rifleman.
Indiana.
Yeah, he pled guilty to one count to commit bribery in federal court. As part of the deal, he agreed to forfeit $91,500 he received from advisors, including one registered advisor. Okay, a guilty plea came just before the anticipated NCAA Division basketball tournament. So this is going back to March 21st.
Oh.
But holy smokes, man! I mean,
no, what was he doing? Advising gamblers or something?
This is he admitted to taking tens of thousands of dollars in cash bribes from advisors looking to form business relationships with talented student athletes on pace for lucrative contracts. So
interesting.
That's
I wonder what his background is. I wonder what he's doing now.
Basketball.
I mean what he's doing now since he's been out of the game. I'm wondering if he's been involved in some sort of business.
Some kind of advisory thing.
Yeah, boy, that's a dark mark on his career.
Yeah. All right, now let's do it. Let's do a Did You Know?
Go.
Did you know? Two players at the 1936 World Ping Pong Championships in Prague took more than 2 hours to contest a single point.
What? 2 hours to play 1 point?
Yeah, I just make this stuff
That's
up.
insane.
No, I read it somewhere.
Seriously?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. I played a lot of ping pong, seriously, when I was a kid. And
those points don't usually last very long.
No, I was a pretty good player, but I remember playing with some really good players. I mean, tournament-type players. And these guys were amazing. This one guy actually told me he could beat me sitting in his chair. And he beat me 21-6, and I was pretty good. Yeah. And he was sitting in his chair.
I played against a guy, a top-ranked racquetball player, and he was standing on one leg. He just hopped around on one leg.
Oh, jeez.
That's hard.
And I did not get a single point.
Oh my God! Wow. That's a fun sport, though. I mean, it sounds like it's not much of a deal, but it is. It's actually a fun sport to play.
I learned how to run around as much as tennis, but
I remember my parents got us a table when I was 9, and my brother and I just played it like demons.
You probably do more running around, chasing the ball around the floor.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. All right, guys. Second trivia question here is: what was the first African country to qualify for a World Cup?
Oh,
I think I'll give you the year 1934.
Oh, I'm going to miss it then. I was going to say.
You've heard of this country.
I was going to say the Cameroon with the Lions, what they call the Lions, I think, but that was more recent. That was like about 2000 or something.
Yeah, this is the first African country to qualify for a World Cup. So, I mean, I'm not even sure how do you actually qualify for a World Cup?
You have to win a bunch of preliminary matches.
Yeah. Similar to the NCAA tournament. Something like not every team gets in.
No,
right?
No.
Yeah, I guess
it was 64 teams get into the World Cup, or 32 or something.
For the World Cup.
32 for the World Cup.
32 for the World Cup. That's right.
Yeah, but you have to go through all this pool play in order to gain points, in order to get a spot in the field.
And the U.S. men's team did not make the last.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
A little embarrassing.
Little embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
Just a little.
Okay, don't bet that down. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
I hate to say it. I don't think U.S. soccer is ever going to amount to anything. I think it'll always be a feeder system for the Premier League, the Liga in in Italy and the Bundesliga.
What?
Those are like the Major League NFL for soccer. That's where everybody plays.
But you get a lot of immigrants coming here.
Oh, they'll watch and they'll play. But I'm just saying, I don't think soccer is ever going to take off in this country for a number of reasons. Number one is television. Television ratings. You got to get top level teams. And I'm sorry, what is it, the soccer league that the Earthquakes play in? It's not even, you can't even compare it to hockey.
Yeah, I mean, the English Premier League is considered to be the class of
that's the best
soccer worldwide.
It's kind of like Major League Baseball or the NFL. Yeah. I mean, I think it's great that soccer fans support the Earthquakes, but I mean, they're just, I don't give them any attention. Do you cover them at all, Brent?
We show highlights.
Yeah.
We show highlights. Every now and then there'll be some kind of human interest story attached.
They're great guys. I love soccer.
But I'm just trying to think what's it missing, Bruce?
It's missing some great players. That's what it's missing. It's like AA baseball.
I think
Triple A.
But aren't we in love with scoring? We like scoring.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Well, here, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, Vern Glenn there, Bruce McGowan over here. All right, second trivia question. What was the first African country to qualify for a World Cup?
My guess is Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm going to say Nigeria.
No, Egypt.
Egypt. Wow.
Yeah. I guess 1934, they were probably a little bit more.
Wow. We were talking about why soccer is not. I mean, there are a lot of kids that play the sport here in this country. There's a lot of interest in this country, but for some reason that has not translated into great television ratings, into teams, the leagues that they've had here, the North American Soccer League, and now this league that has been around for a while, just have not even been more than a blip on the, I don't know.
Because of scoring.
And as a parent, what do? We have kids. What's the first thing we have them do? They play soccer. Because what do? You get up there, you kick the ball.
It's easy to play. It's easy to learn.
Kicking like a little net, and this, that, and the other. But for what? As it evolves and as you get older, I mean, those players kind of die off. A few kind of seep through and end up playing high school, and then who knows who ends up playing, college and beyond.
But from, like you said, from a television standpoint, we want to see scoring.
We want to see scoring.
It's the same thing. It's like when it's the same thing with the excitement of a slam dunk.
Well, basketball, maybe there's too much scoring. Baseball and football, not enough action, not enough scoring for some people. Hockey is kind of a cult sport, but hockey, I think, has just the right amount of scoring, usually like 5-3, 6-4.
Right.
Soccer, the average score is 2-1, 3-2, 1-0.
And sometimes it's only because of penalty kicks.
Yeah, I mean, there's nonstop action.
And
but
I'll say this for hockey, at least they've changed the rules to kind of boost it offensively. If you notice, I mean, there's some situations where sometimes there's like 3-on-3. Yeah. Where it's just wide open.
Yeah,
like
in the overtime.
There's going to be scoring in certain sequences, but in soccer, boy, especially with these kids today that are just attention span challenged. Yeah. They don't want to sit there and watch a play develop. Where you have to
not unless
pass the ball and then run to the open spot and hope to get it back and then kick it through. It's just not up tempo enough.
Not unless you're a hardcore soccer fan. And if you like the Premier League, it's like the major league of all sports. I mean, it really is. They get the best of everything. But I think that the Bundesliga, the Premier League, and the league in Italy, and the one in Spain, they're always going to be far and away greater than what we can develop here. Now, we've developed some good. There's some good American players playing, I think, even in the Premier League. But they have to go overseas. It's kind of like everybody who plays basketball has to come here if they want to make it, play in the NBA.
All right, guys, moving on a little bit here. What do you think about the Major League Baseball announcing it would begin extra innings by putting a runner on second base? Just like in
terrible.
Softball.
You don't like the idea? You don't like that? It would make it interesting. It would make you lean forward.
Yeah, I just don't like all these changes. I like baseball the way it is. And baseball's been a good sport. If you're a hardcore baseball fan, you like it the way it is. I'm still against it. I still don't like the DH.
I do like. I do like in the situation of the intentional walk. I do like the fact that the manager just kind of boom. And
only twice can I remember. I remember a game ending on that. One time the Giants won because it was supposed to be an intentional walk. The pitcher accidentally threw it over his head, the catcher's head.
Is that right?
And the guy scored from third base, game over.
I remember one time Barry Bonds. This is in 1999. Barry Bonds was up with the bases loaded. It was I think a 2-run lead for the Diamondbacks.
Oh, and they walked him.
And they walked him with the bases
him.
loaded to get to the next guy, and the next guy grounded out, and the game was over. Bucky Showalter.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember when he was with Arizona. He made everybody was like, "What? What's he doing? This is crazy."
That's a feared hitter.
Yeah.
Here's something I had not seen before. Maybe you have, Bruce, but I saw a Giants Rays game. Situation came up where Evan Longoria was coming up to bat, and they wanted to get him. They took the Rays pitcher, moved him to first base.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Brought in a relief pitcher.
I do remember that. Yeah.
To face Longoria.
That was crazy.
Got rid of Longoria.
That was in the Saturday game, wasn't it? I think the one.
That way the pitcher doesn't have to come out. He just takes positions.
And then the pitcher came right back to the mound for first base.
That's pretty good.
And resumed the game. They did that just to get Evan Longoria.
Yeah. And Evan Longoria, I think he had one hit against his old team.
Yeah.
He
had one hit, and the guy he was traded for, Christian Arroyo, had 2 hits in one game.
Oh, man. Boy, you talk about a team that has
and Evan Longoria was a native Californian and still regarded as Tampa's greatest player of all time.
Well, he's got all the records.
And Christian Arroyo, who started with the San Francisco Giants, from Tampa,
Is that
grew up watching Evan Longoria.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy. Boy,
Crazy.
Giants are they're so sad.
I know that because I did a story on it.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Giants are so sad, though. Pop gun offense. And they're the second worst offense in baseball. When they hit,
but are you really surprised, Bruce? I mean, didn't you know?
I thought they would be a little better because they got pitching, they got defense, they got a good bullpen, but they don't have their core players. Posey's older.
Yeah.
Brandon Crawford is worn down. Longoria I forgot he's going to be 34 this year.
And Pilar is how old? You just got him.
I think he's 30.
30, yeah.
And you got the first baseman Belden never can stay healthy. Panic is young. He's been hurt. I mean, they just don't have a very good team. Their outfield is good defensively, but Pilar, and who's playing right field right now? I can't. Steven Duggar, who's a rookie still, who's actually playing pretty well, but that's not kind of a.
Yeah.
Well, Dusty Baker always said, "Okay, you're going to win 60, you're going to lose 60. It's just what do you do with the rest of them?"
Yeah, it's the other 42.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every day I get a Giants gig. I just hope for the best and expect the worst.
Expect the worst. Well, this is payback for winning 3 titles in 5 years.
Payback.
Come on, they didn't win a title for 52 years, and they won 3 in 5 years. So hey, 3 last place finishes or 3 crappy seasons in a row.
54 plus 56.
All right. Well, they started in 58 in San Francisco. And they moved from New York, and they didn't win until 2010. So it was in their 53rd year.
Gotcha. I was thinking about last time the Giants in general.
But they won 3 times. Hey, listen, they don't have to ever win again to satisfy me. I grew up a Giants fan, and all those years I covered the 2002 team. They were 8 outs away from winning. 8 outs away in Anaheim and winning Game 6. And Felix Rodriguez didn't want to throw a breaking pitch. He just had to strike out Scott Spezia with a fastball, and Scott Spezia waited, fouled pitches off, and
got the pitch he wanted.
Get a 3-run homer, and that was the beginning of the end.
Too much ego going on.
Too much ego.
Okay. Let's see here. Here's a did you know? Did you know in 2007 an Australian rugby player complained of headaches for some weeks after a game? A couple of months later, when he suffered a head injury, it was discovered he'd had another player's tooth embedded in his skull all that time.
God. Are you serious? How could you not know somebody's tooth was in your skull?
Wouldn't that be revealed in an X-ray or something?
Or you'd reach up there. What is that weird thing in my head?
I mean, he must have had a lot of hair or something.
Oh my God!
What about the guy who lost the tooth?
Yeah.
Was he looking around? But where's my tooth?
Where's my tooth?
Wow. They just couldn't find it.
Tough guys, man. Tough.
Tough guys. God. Speaking of teeth, you see that? This is totally off the subject. But have you guys seen Bohemian Rhapsody? The guy who played Freddie Mercury. I guess they made his mouth kind of wide. I guess Freddie Mercury had this weird mouth.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason why he was such a great singer.
Yeah.
But did they lip sync Freddie Mercury with this guy?
They did.
Because I was going to say Freddie Mercury was amazing. I didn't realize what a great singer
he was. The actor that played him.
He was terrific.
Who ended up winning?
Yeah, he did best actor.
Best actor. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything was lip synced.
That's amazing.
But it was choreographed to the max.
That was
that on stage performance.
Terrific movie. Terrific movie. I'd recommend it highly. If I'm not a big fan of Queen, and I became a fan overnight.
I know. So my wife.
The last sequence where they had the 3 or 4 songs at Wembley Stadium was just That was uplifting.
Yeah, they did that. If you see the actual footage from that performance from the real, spot on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How did they recreate that? Just with they must have just recreated it with a lot of special effects.
Special effects, CG is great, but the actual stage performance itself by the actors who played the band was just like it was.
You look at the band and you look at the actors and you go, these are the same guys.
Yeah, they look very similar.
Very similar. They did very good job.
Yeah, very well done.
Anyway.
Okay, one quick thing about Johnny Manziel. So he debuted for the Memphis Express of the Alliance.
They're gone, right?
Yeah, the F's going under.
Did they even actually play a game?
Yeah, played 2-3 games.
2 or 3 games.
2-3 weeks.
What kind of crowds did they get?
I don't know, but he was released from the CFL, right? Montreal team. He made a good impression. 3 years, 250,000, which isn't bad for them. But apparently all the players get the same.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that very, very interesting.
You ever been to a CFL game? It's kind of fun.
It's bigger, right?
110 yards, 12 players. Yeah. It's fun.
And,
from a business model thing, I mean, getting back to Sports Econ 101, paying everybody the same, that's a pretty good idea. If the players buy into it, right?
Buy in, yeah. Like, just imagine a players' union kind of. I don't know. It's kind of.
Well, maybe they didn't deal with any unions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these leagues are going to make it. The WFL didn't make it. Then the USFL didn't make it. I remember talking to Donald Trump when he was part owner. I think it was the Washington Generals, and he was boasting about, we're going to push the NFL, aside. We're gonna be toe to toe with the NFL.
Hey, now that he's president, maybe he can do it now. Have a little more power.
I was thinking to myself, geez, what is this guy? What's he been smoking? Come on.
It's funny. You look at old footage, and he looks so young.
Well, he was young. He was in his 30s.
Yeah.
I remember talking to him thinking, this guy is a classic BS artist. Yeah. Man, come on. The USFL?
And did you tell him, man, you should be president someday?
No. That was back in 1983. Come on.
That's right, 83. Yeah, I had a friend who played for the LA Express.
Oh, who was that?
Greg Loberg.
Oh, okay.
So Greg actually he's been on our show a long time ago. He actually was in, quote, the game. It's the Stanford
was
Cal
he?
game, yeah.
Oh, which side? Which side?
The play.
Yeah.
Was he on Cal?
He was on Cal, but he was a middle linebacker, so he was actually not on the field
watching
at the time.
He was not on the special team.
I got a quick story about that. I was covering that game, and I had just moved back from New York about 6 months before, and I was doing some freelance work for a bunch of radio networks, and I'm covering that game. Most of the writers had gone downstairs because in those days it was really tough to get to the locker room through the crowd, and so they missed the play. And I remember our good friend Art Spander running up to me, waving his arms. What happened? What happened? I said, Art, I can't describe it. It was just too crazy. I mean, it was a 5 lateral play, and Joe Starkey was going nuts. You can't even understand what's going on when you listen to Joe Starkey's call, but it was a great call. But that was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
You have to see the T-shirts that were made out there. It was so funny because you had Stanford band musical notes on one side. And you had X's and
I remember
John Elway. I think he said that was his most memorable loss.
Yeah, well, he said after the game, I'll never forget, they wrecked my last game at Stanford.
Yeah.
They wrecked it. And Paul Wiggin, he was the head coach. That was the beginning of the end for him. I think he coached one more year, but they were all set to go to the Hall of Fame Bowl, which is not a real big deal, but for Stanford it was.
Yeah.
And as soon as Cal scores that touchdown, there were 4 members of the Hall of Fame Bowl that were in the press box, and they left and just left the stadium.
Shining moment for Joe Cap.
Joe Cap, the bear will not die. The bear.
That's
Joe
right.
Cap is still around.
Yeah, he got in a fight on stage with some
Yeah,
older guy. That guy looked like he weighed about 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Joe is a character. Joe's a little out to lunch. He wanted me to do a show with him once. He goes, we should do the Bruce and Joe show. And I said, who would listen? Come on.
That's why you joined Sports Econ
That's
101.
Well, he had a hearing problem, so I'm talking on the phone. He goes, hey, talk a little louder, would you please?
I did a story with Joe years ago.
Joe
This is
Cap.
before a big game, and we're talking about the play. And he says to me, God, can you imagine being a part of that play? And I kind of like rub my chin, and then the screen goes kind of foggy, and then it comes out, and then we show the play, the kickoff, but everybody that handled the ball for Cal, I played that guy.
Oh, that's great.
I gotta see that.
It's
on YouTube.
I'd love to see that.
What do you do? Vern Glenn the play or something? How do you get that?
Yeah,
I gotta look that up.
How did you do that anyway?
We took Joe Starkey's call,
right,
and dubbed that into the call with the actual play, and you see like a wide shot of the ball being like lateral, and then And then I've got the ball and I'm running.
And you got the cow
And
uniform
we
on?
shot it in Memorial Stadium.
That's great.
And I'm wearing the uniform of every
That is
that's
great.
funny.
player.
That's
That
great.
is
Okay,
fantastic.
It's really funny.
Last trivia question. After retiring as a player, which team did Babe Ruth spend 1 year as a coach?
Oh, yeah.
1938. I figured I had to ask you an easy one.
I know that one.
All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be back with some closing comments.
All right.
I think Boston Braves.
Good quit. Good. It wasn't Boston, but it was close. His last team he played for was Boston. You'll never guess this one. This is a good one. Babe Ruth. It's interesting. Babe Ruth came through Marin County once on a barnstorming tour, and
Didn't Lefty Grove play with him?
Lefty Gomez.
Lefty Gomez.
Lefty Gomez was just a
Vernon
kid.
Lefty Gomez.
Yeah, and he took he was taking a train out to Point Reyes to go do some hunting. And along the way in Nicasio, they had a little ballpark there back in those days. And Vernon Lefty Gomez was just a young player. And Babe showed up, and he gets off the train, and he takes his jacket off and goes up and hits a couple of home runs. That's the story, anyway. That sounds so typical.
Lefty Gomez threw left, wrote with his right hand.
Yeah.
He says because in grade school back then,
Oh yeah, you weren't supposed to.
the nuns would take a ruler and slap your left hand if you tried to write with your left hand.
Lefty Gomez, I remember the one time I interviewed him, he goes, who was the toughest hitter? He goes, I couldn't get Charlie Behringer out. You could put him in a tunnel with the lights out at midnight. He'd still hit me.
Come on, guys. Okay, guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Make it kind of a long one here, so
Okay.
we'll play in with this here. Okay. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here for the last time for today. And Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan.
Never say the last time.
Okay. After retiring as a player, which team did Babe Ruth spend 1 year as a coach?
The Brooklyn Dodgers.
The Dodgers. That's
Yeah, he got his last
Wow.
home run with the Boston Braves, though, at old Forbes Field,
Field,
over
yeah.
the roof.
Yeah, that's what I heard. He hit it out of the
Wow. And that
Okay,
was
guys.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. No dictionary has ever been able to define the difference between complete and finished. However, in a linguistics conference attended by some of the best linguists in the world, a man from Guyana, was the clever winner. His final challenge was this. Some say there is no difference between complete and finished. Please explain the difference in a way that is easy to understand. His response was, when you marry the right woman, you are complete. If you marry the wrong woman, you're finished. And when the right woman catches you with the wrong woman, you are completely finished.
That's
a good one.
Like
I
that?
know that one.
And
Yeah.
college is the opposite of kidnapping. They demand $100,000 from you, or they'll send your kid back.
Oh,
Right.
good. Where do you get these anyway?
Just thoughts for the day, or whatever. That one for the complete and finished was a joke I found somewhere. I thought that was
It's a great
funny.
joke.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I knew you'd like the.
That's a good one.
The golf one too. Just
Yeah, okay. I have
stand
to remember
away,
that one.
stand 10 feet back from your wife when you tell her, because you gotta make sure she doesn't throw a
I
Right.
can't believe all three of us, though. We've been married to the same woman for you guys longer. I've only been 25 years. Vernon's been
22,
isn't that
22 for me.
22, so 25 for
for
me.
you.
Wait. We're all married to the same woman?
No. I mean, we've been all.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. That's the reverse of polygamy.
Yeah.
No,
I'm,
but how many years with you now, Edward?
6,000?
Right.
30.
30?
It'll be 30 in
That is
October.
great.
That's if she lets me live that long.
Ah.
That's right. All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks for
That was
joining
fun.
me yet again. This was fun. All right.
I love it when we just kind of kick around
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All
Sounds
right.
good, sounds
Tune in next week for Sports Econ 101.
But is this thing on? Boom,
It
boom.
is, yep, it is. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
All right, good show. I think we worked well when we just do the three of us.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good time. All right, well, you guys are on your own next week, so.
Oh,
I should
yeah,
be
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we'll figure it out.
All right, hold on here.
God, I hope this thing. I told the woman, I said, you knocked me out. Not only knock me out, I said, I want the area anesthetized, so when you're in there.
We'll be doing that show in your honor.
Yeah, when they're in there mucking around and pulling this thing out or doing whatever they're going to do, burning it out, that I don't feel it while I'm in my subconscious state in a dream. Oh, no, we'll get you, we're going to make sure you're completely anesthetized.
Wait. So you're going in on Tuesday? Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what they do, it's interesting. They send this little tiny, it's like a little wire with a little light, and a little laser, and they go in there and they burn the polyp or whatever it is. They burn it down to a small amount, and then they take a little bit out to analyze it.
Yeah.
She thinks because most of the time these things, unfortunately, 90% of the time are cancerous, but if you get it early enough, it shouldn't be a problem. The one problem I have is it's in a real sensitive area. It's right next to where the kidney empties out.
Oh.
So it's going to be, she says you're going to have, you're going to have to take some heavy drugs afterwards because it's going to be kind of sensitive and painful for a few days. So
doesn't sound quite as fun as I thought originally.
No, I didn't expect this to happen, but
So how long are you going to be out of commission?
Well, I told my boss just 2 days, but I'm probably going to have to take 3. I don't want to freak my daughter out, though. I just think, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say, look, I'm just having a polyp removed, which is true.
Yeah.
And we just don't have to tell it.
Is it like in the morning, like 7 a.m. type thing?
No, it's in the early afternoon. I got a buddy of mine who's gonna take me over there. He has to give me a ride home.
Because we could do the show on Monday.
No.
Keep your mind off of this thing.
Monday I'm gonna be just gonna, I had the phone call. Here's all the stuff you have to go through for this person. And she was telling me, in the surgery. I said, wait a second, this isn't surgery. This is a procedure. She goes, well, technically you're right. We don't cut into you, but it is the same thing as a surgery.
Because they put you under.
Well, they put you under and they go inside you, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking forward to it. I never thought I'd have to go through with this, but hey, life is full of little bumps in the road.
Vern, Tuesday the 16th, I have a webinar at 10 a.m. Do you want to just do Monday at 10?
Next Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
God, I got in 2 days of surfing the last 2 days down at Lindemar in Pacifica. It was so nice. 2 hours on Sunday and almost 2 hours yesterday. I needed that so badly. So it just puts the wind back in your sails,
Yeah.
Jeez. Got to do it. So I'm going to go for a hike today. What are you guys up to?
I got some
paperwork stuff.
Just some honeydews. And
Honeydews.
we're probably gonna celebrate Nikki's birthday tonight at the in-laws.
Oh, nice. Where's her in-laws live?
They live in Tiburon.
Is she a local? Is she from here?
Yeah, she grew up here.
Where did she grow up with?
Damn.
Damn. Her parents, where do they live in Tiburon?
Go as you enter the town of Tiburon, turn left, like you're gonna go to the Tiburon Peninsula Club.
Oh, okay, sure.
But as soon as you turn left, make an immediate left and go up the hill. There's some apartments.
Oh,
and
sure, I
condos
know
up
what that
there.
is. Yeah.
And they're up there. So they're
up on Red Hill. Is it Red Hill or no? Is it up? It's up above the Tiburon Peninsula Club.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
up above. There's some condos up there.
Yeah.
So they live up there. So they're renting up there.
What did her dad do? What kind of work was he into?
He stepdad and her mom have run a PR firm all this time.
Oh, wow.
Since at least the mid 1980s.
Wow.
Just
That's
until
great.
And but he had worked in finance for a company called Landor in the city, and he was like the CFO.
Wow.
And
did pretty well then.
And so he did pretty well. He had offices all over the world, back then, and so he was able to.
You married into a good family, man. That helps.
So that's how they were able to buy their spread in Mill Valley, which they just recently sold.
Wow.
And so they're just living off of that.
So they're in their 70s probably.
Yeah. He's 75.
Doing okay health-wise?
He's mentally, and I guess internally, but physically breaking down.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, get knee and whatever.
It happens,
Yeah.
I'm feeling that.
But here's a guy. He
never complains.
Never exercised.
Oh.
Never,
just
You
got to take some time to exercise. You got to.
So
You just have to do that. Well, yeah, I grew up. You know where Reed School is? My dad bought a piece of land in 1956 for $8,000, a 1-acre piece of land overlooking the bay, surrounded by oak trees and bays. And he designed and built this 5-bedroom house, real nice house, but not by today's standards.
Yeah, but 8,000 back then, a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and they had to borrow some, and
Yeah.
it cost $27,000 to build this house. And my parents lived in that house for 56 years. My dad died in that house in his own bed, and when they sold it for $2.5 million. My mom moved out. They took out my dad's, to his everlasting regret, took out a reverse mortgage because he didn't have a pension. So they were able to, because they lived into their 90s, they were able to subsidize and travel. And they owed the bank, when they sold the place, almost $1.8 million. So they walked away with $800,000, and that took care of my mom for the rest of her life. And she left a couple of $100,000 for my sister and me to split. And that was, I left most of it to my sister.
So did they not need the reverse mortgage? I mean, they didn't need
They did, because at the time my dad didn't have a pension. And they wanted to do some traveling. They lived very modestly, though. I mean, and they didn't have the Jarvis gambling effects, and they didn't have the horrible taxes. But the new people that bought the home completely tore it down to the studs and rebuilt it. It's actually a real nice house, but I went and visited it about a year ago, and the guy and his 2 kids, they're real nice young guys, wife, real nice people. It still has the beautiful view, and it still has some of the same look, but it's completely different. It was so weird. I felt like I was walking into the twilight zone.
I got a question. When you buy a home and elect to
take out
rip it down to the studs,
and
then rebuild, how much FU money do you need to do that?
It's expensive.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it probably was
as opposed to just taking over the house and just doing like little improvements along the way.
I would say probably $1.5 million, wouldn't you? To do something like that. It's a big house. I mean, now it's a 6-bedroom house.
So before you can even live in it, you've torn it down to the city. You got to live somewhere.
They had that house for almost 3 years, and the first year they couldn't even get the permit to do all this stuff. So it was just sitting there, kind of half torn down. I used to go visit it, and I'd walk around, and I felt like I was walking into a ghost town or something.
So we're just kind of curious here. They paid basically $35,000 for the home, land, and
for the whole thing was about 40.
About 40. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to see what the time value money.
35.
Okay, 30. Okay, and what was the future value when they finally got out?
$2.5 million. And it probably could have been more if they kept it up.
Okay, and what was the
year?
How many years did they have?
They lived there from 58 to 14. My dad died in 13. My mom lived there to 14. So 56 years.
56 years.
Yeah,
okay. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah.
This would be
interesting. It's funny too, because my sister.
Guess what the rate of return was, and this is on an annual basis.
Okay.
So compounded monthly, it'd be less than this.
Okay. Now, rate of return is
like how, if they were stuck $40,000 in the bank,
right,
and it grew to $2.5 million.
Okay.
In 56 years.
56 years.
What rate of return did they earn on that 40,000?
What would it be annually? Right.
Yep.
God, I have to think about that. What?